Hello. Welcome to the Free Bin, the Toledo, Oregon Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Sophia.
There she is.
Sophia's joining us remotely because she got snowed in today.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yeah, there's a bit of a skating rink out there.
For sure.
But yeah, we're glad she was able to still host the podcast, maybe a little bit more muffled than usual, but
Right.
coming through strong.
Right. And she doesn't get to hit any of the sound effects either, which is a bummer.
It is.
It is a bummer.
There we
You can
go.
get one in my honor.
I think that Harrison's going to take over for you.
Yes.
Now, I never wear headphones when I do this.
Oh,
So I never know what you're doing.
would you like to play with the soundboard? So you can cycle through the soundboards left and right with these arrows, and then it shows what's on each one. There you go.
No wonder Sophia likes to sit here.
Yeah,
Does it fade? It'll fade.
it does.
Good.
You
Okay.
can also tap it again to turn it off. Some of them.
Oh, yeah.
There are different modes that you can
Okay.
assign to each
You'll
pad.
learn all kinds of new things.
Yeah.
What's this one? Ooh, that's like good for like if we're doing something exciting. Okay.
Got the clock.
All right. Well. All right, Sophia, why don't you introduce your little part of the events, and I will do the thing. Where's the news thing that she always does?
That is on soundboard 1, top right.
Okay, are you ready, Sophia?
Oh my gosh.
Here we go.
Yes.
New news. I can't do Sophia very well.
It's just not the same.
There it is.
There it is.
All right. So
Okay. Here we are.
the events we have coming up are on the 20th of February. We have from 3:30 to 4:30. We have we're going to make slime for our kids and our teens. You can come and make some slime, and you have stuff to put in it. Do you have stuff to put in it, Sophia? Like glitter?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay,
Glitter.
so the glitter will live forever in your house, but that's okay. You'll have slime
Hopefully-
with glitter.
In the slime and not your house, but you know.
You never know.
Yeah, slime contains the glitter. Glitter
Yeah, okay.
doesn't usually leave the slime once
Well.
it gets in there.
I don't know. Glitter's pretty persistent.
It is.
It never leaves. So come on down for that on the 20th. And then February 28th, which is a Saturday. It's the last day of the month because this is not a leap year.
Yeah.
You can come for our Spice Club culminating community potluck of dishes made with our spice, which is what, Sophia?
Zatar.
Zatar. And it sounds really good. I have to take some home still. There, we have plenty left, so please come by and get some if you want to join us for our community potluck. It's really fun, and it's a way to get to know people in the community, and it's a way to get some good food. So that's from 1 to 2 on Saturday, February 22nd. And then on Saturday, February 22nd is also STEAM Saturday, where the kids and families can come from 2:30 to 3:30. And this month, you're extracting DNA from strawberries. And Harrison and I were talking about that. What do you do with the DNA once it's extracted?
You know, it doesn't say. I was looking through the place where I got it, and I was like, what do you do with it when you're done? Like, can you make more strawberries? But it doesn't say explicitly, so I don't know. You could try. That could be another experiment, but I don't know.
Oh, well, here's the thing we were thinking of. We might be able to combine it with some other DNA. And what did you call it?
I proposed we
DNA?
create a Strawbociraptor.
With our DNA. So it could be just a simple STEAM Saturday, or it could be the beginning of something big. Who knows?
Bigger.
make something else out of your DNA from strawberries. Anyway, I've never seen that done. I have no idea, but it should be fun and interesting. And then you can go home and mix it with your dog's DNA or something. I don't know. Have a strawberry dog. I don't know. Anyway, so those are the events that are happening at the library. It could prove to be interesting. It's like a science fiction novel in the making.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
That's it.
That was my intention.
So I apologize, Sophia. We do not have a beverage on its way to you, but just so you know, in studio we have the blood orange flavored brisk iced tea. I don't know if you have a beverage with you, perchance.
Let me go. Oh my God. Okay, so can I tell you a story?
Yes.
I got cherry. Okay, so I had to get a special beverage to entice my 4-year-old to take her antibiotics
Yes.
this morning. and then I also grabbed a special beverage for me, and I got cherry cola from Olipop.
Oh. Have we done Olipops before?
We've done an Olipop before.
Yeah.
Was
we
that
did
good?
grape soda.
Grape. So, ooh. Yeah, that's
remember?
right. I do remember now.
Okay, I got my beverage, Olipop cherry cola.
Okay, well, we're going to drink our brisk iced tea, blood orange. Again, just not very much. I'm not really a iced tea fan, but sometimes if they put enough flavor in it, I don't care.
Okay. I'll give you a little more. It's a big bottle. Fill up to line 1. There you go.
Alrighty. Oh, boy.
Yeah. It is kind of blood orange color.
Yeah. And
Kinda,
it's
sorta.
not fizzy, right? It's just like tea, right?
I got some on the laptop, so that's good.
All right.
Just a little.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't smell bad.
It does. It smells like orange is. And where did the lid go?
It went by the door. I'll get it later.
Okay.
All right, you got your cola?
Are you ready?
Got my cola.
Okay, here we
All
go.
I'm ready.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't taste tea.
I don't taste tea, and I barely taste oranges. I mostly just taste sugar.
Oh, maybe that's it.
How's yours, Sophia?
It's really gross.
Well, it's good to know.
It tastes like really sweet and sour, and there's nothing enjoyable about this cherry cola.
I'm having a similar experience with my blood orange tea.
It tastes like orange Kool-Aid.
A little bit.
Orange Kool-Aid in a tea?
Yeah, it does taste like Kool-Aid, but the only tea I'm getting is it's a little bit astringent. It's a little bit
maybe,
dry on the follow-up.
Well,
Ew.
it smells like orange Kool-Aid, and it tastes a little bit like really orange Kool-Aid, like when the church ladies put too much sugar in it. That's just a childhood tale. Maybe for a different time.
Yeah, the combination of iced tea and blood orange flavor is combining into just kind of a sort of bitter grapefruit vibe
yeah,
for me.
It does have a little bit of the grapefruit vibe.
That's what the tea is doing.
Maybe that's the blood orange.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Normally I like blood orange.
Yeah, it's not horrible, but maybe it's like Tang. Do you guys ever drink Tang?
I am not an
When
astronaut.
I was a kid.
Yeah, it kind of
When
got
I was a
that. Tang. When I was a kid, Tang was big because the astronauts drank it, and it was like the first. Like, I'm sure Kool-Aid was around longer, but it was like that you'd get the powder in a can and you'd mix it up, and depending on how much your mom wanted to put in was depending on how great the flavor was. And my mom always was, she was pretty frugal. Sometimes the flavor was not that great, but it's kind of got that Tang feel to it. Yeah. Okay, well, there we go.
Well, this week, last week, but we're catching up this week.
Yes, we are.
We are going to discuss Black History Month, and we're going to share some stories.
Yeah.
And yeah, we've got some notes here, so we'll try to keep it short and sweet, but we've got much to discuss.
We do, and it's kind of interesting, the kind of rabbit trails you go down and the things you find out that you didn't know, or maybe you had assumptions about certain things and you want to think the best of people, but you still find out things that maybe were pretty nasty and rotten.
History's big and people are complicated.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That does not, however, take away from people's accomplishments. And I think that that's important to remember, too, and we were talking about this last week, and no matter what you think about someone's accomplishments, or if their race or the whatever plays into that, some of these accomplishments we're going to talk about are amazing, and it wouldn't matter what color of skin someone had. The accomplishments are amazing in their own, but then you add on top of that the kinds of things they had to face to do those accomplishments, to make them happen. And that's kind of the thing I really like looking at, as you look at it and go, wow, this person is so amazing. And because they had to overcome so much to get where they are, but it's an amazing accomplishment. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. And I am, excuse me, I'm really interested in the people who made history. And, especially when there is something that is, and someone who is an important figure who has had an influential role in history, it's easy to kind of just make a hero out of somebody, which is understandable. I'm going to be talking to somebody who was kind of legendary even when he was still around. But you do have to kind of erase a person to make a hero. And I find it far more interesting the real people who did these things,
right?
And had to work in the historical context they found themselves in without, the benefit we have of hindsight. Right. It's like we're all improvising our way through life, and the fact that people were able to accomplish these amazing things without knowing how things are going to go from moment to moment, as we all don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So do you want to start us off?
I can. Yeah. Unless, Sophia, did you want to start with yours, or should I jump?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I'll jump in straight to the mustache then. Okay. I am going to talk about Bass Reeves. We are talking, quote unquote, Wild West history here. So, grain of salt for some of the details. Legends and folklore about the Wild West were being created in popular media in real time. Like in the late 19th century, there were dime novels and stories about what was happening in the westward fringes of the United States. Right. And it could get hard to parse fact from folklore, even if it happened last week, So right. But we know the broad strokes, right? Combine that with the limits of communication technology in this area at the time. And a lot of details can be murky, but still, like I said, the broad strokes are enough to understand the impact that Bass Reeves had, why he became such a legendary figure. And he's just a really interesting person who lived and worked in a really interesting, complicated time. Bass Reeves was born into slavery in Arkansas in 1838. His family was enslaved by Arkansas state legislator William Steele Reeves, and at 8 years old, Bass and his family moved with Reeves to Texas and worked serving William Reeves' son George, who was a prominent Texas legislator and sheriff. George Reeves joined the Confederate States Army during the Civil War and took the then 20-something Bass along with him. I want to note here that while the Confederacy pressed enslaved people into service and support roles for the military, they did not allow black soldiers in the Confederate Army. They did try to walk this back briefly at the very end of the war, as in March 1865, end of the war. And a couple hundred enslaved men, from what I saw, were enlisted like just before the surrender. I mention this because growing up in the South, I would sometimes hear the claim that black people fought for the Confederacy, but it's not factual. There obviously people were pressed into service of the war effort, but not as soldiers. So at some point in 1861 or 1862, Bass escaped slavery. Some sources say it was following a fight with George over a poker game. Some say he just saw the opportunity and fled. Whatever the case may be, he ended up settling in what was then called Indian Territory, now Kansas and Oklahoma. He spent time among the Cherokee, Creek, and Seminole people, acquiring both cultural expertise and practical skills relevant to the area. The Emancipation Proclamation formally freed Reeves from the institution of slavery, and he settled near Van Buren, Arkansas. He married his first wife, Nellie Jean, in 1864. It's worth noting here also that Bass Reeves never learned to read. He was proficient in several languages because he was among numerous ethnic groups, cultures, languages where he was. But he was enslaved until early adulthood, and many enslaved people were not taught to read.
Right.
A contemporary article in the Green Mountain Freeman dated September 18th, 1853 states that teaching a black person to read, for example, in Louisiana, was punishable by $500 on the first offense. That's back then money, and death upon the second offense.
For teaching someone to read?
For teaching someone to read.
Wow.
So it's understandable why he did not acquire those skills early, and it's a lot harder to learn to read later in life, even for someone as proficient in languages as Bass Reeves was. But also, as we shall see, he ended up being rather busy with other things. And when it came to delivering warrants and things like that, he would memorize them before he went out. So he was able to work with legal documents that way, he had a workaround. So in 1875, U.S. Marshal James C. Fagan, who knew Reeves' reputation as a man who knew the land, people, and languages of the area, appointed Reeves to serve as the first black deputy west of the Mississippi. And Reeves at the time was a 37-year-old farm dad. And so did this 37-year-old farm dad take to this new line of work in law enforcement? Oh, boy. Oh, boy, he did. So I want to preface this part by acknowledging that Reeves, he absolutely was part of the story of the westward expansion of the United States and all that entails. He was enforcing federal law in what was called Indian Territory, which was land set aside for the forced relocation of indigenous people from their ancestral homes in the eastern United States. There were interesting jurisdictional things where the marshals had jurisdiction over white people and black people in the area, and the native authorities had jurisdiction over indigenous people and could arrest indigenous criminals. But if indigenous criminals committed crimes against white or black people, the U.S. Marshals had jurisdiction. It's an interesting time and place. So that's worth noting, right? It's complicated. He clearly had a lot of respect and rapport with the native people in his jurisdiction, the area he lived and worked. And I believe his own history as a formerly enslaved man probably gave him a different perspective on that whole situation with indigenous people, the United States government for whom he was working. But yeah, I want to acknowledge that context. Reeves was a man of his time and place, and there are lots of complicated contradictory situations, roles, and identities at play here, and that's why history is fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story.
Okay. Now, he's a federal marshal?
Yes.
So he's federally appointed?
Yeah.
Okay.
U.S. Marshals.
Okay.
Yeah. He would serve for 32 years.
Wow.
In that role.
Wow.
Covering...
In his 70s.
Yeah, covering upwards of 75,000 square miles in his jurisdiction, arresting around 3,000 fugitives, including his own son once for murder.
Wow.
He was famously proficient with firearms. There are stories that he was banned from rifle and shooting competitions because nobody could compete with him. Of course, Wild West, who knows how much these details are true, but it seems to be true. He favored the Winchester 1873 for its rifle, for its versatility, it being chambered for the same cartridges that were used in popular handguns at the time, so he could carry one type of ammunition, which is handy. That stuff's heavy.
Yeah. You don't want to carry a bunch around.
In the line of duty, Reeves is estimated to have killed between 14 and 20 men, maybe more than 20. When it came to it, he also was once charged for murder when he shot his cook, William Leach. But Reeves asserted that this was an accident while cleaning his gun, and he was acquitted. I don't know. Right? Like, there were enough guns around Bass Reeves at any given time. Maybe accidents are more likely, but for someone who knew guns as well as Bass Reeves, is an accidental discharge likely? Who knows?
Maybe he didn't like the way he fixed his bean.
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
And there are stories of him arresting and transporting multiple fugitives at once. Like if he had to go after, like, single-handedly.
Yeah.
That's something he's also known for. And again, when, this is just me kind of speculating, but when I think of what kind of life Bass Reeves was born into, and what things he might have learned, a man on a horse controlling multiple people at once.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had examples.
Yeah.
Growing up that he
had a chain gang
used. I don't know. That thought did when I was picturing some of these anecdotes in my head of him like having, 3 guys, handcuffed together or whatever. I'm like, I guess we learn what we need to.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that thought did cross my mind because he was enslaved up until his 20s.
Yeah.
In the South. So moving on, Reeves was also well respected as a detective, tracking down and confronting some of the most well-known and dangerous fugitives of his day, including murderers and some very violent men. He killed like 20 people, so
he probably resisted arrest.
We could assume that there was some conflict. There were some conflict-prone personalities that he came up against.
You think?
And I have, of course, the picture, which Sophia has seen the picture that I'm pulling for Bass Reeves with his amazing mustache.
It is impressive. You got it. He's got more hair on his upper lip than his head.
Yes.
He's a handsome man, though.
Yeah, he is.
Good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And I'm sure very polite. He seems like he might be a very polite guy until you are a fugitive.
Yeah, he's
not so polite.
Definitely posed for that picture.
Yeah.
Like he's looking like
Yes, quite a gentleman.
She's
got a tie.
Yeah.
Tweed coat. Looking good.
But I bring up the mustache because Reeves was, by some accounts, something of a master of disguise in the course of conducting his duties, which tells me that mustache must have come off sometimes.
I was going to say, how do you hide that?
You can't hide that mustache. No. And he was 6'2".
Oh,
so
gosh, yeah.
This was a guy who was, he would stand out. But however he changed his appearance, the fact that Bass Reeves was a master of disguise it tells us a couple things. One, I think the mustache came off.
And he just grew it back.
And he just grew it back in like a day and a half.
Probably.
And two, contrary to what like 20th century fictional Western films and comics often portrayed, Bass Reeves was far from the only black guy in town. In any given place, right? The fact that he, did not stick out as he would have in like a 1950s Western movie, which has informed a lot of, popular perceptions of what the American West was like, where it was mostly white guys in big hats and maybe 5 Mexican guys and a couple of Native Americans who were actually Italian. That's kind of the demographics that we grew up with in our Western fiction, but history and just, how things were like common sense. If you know what was happening at the time, there were a lot of people from a lot of backgrounds in that area at that time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them had nowhere else to go. Texas was where a lot of the freed black people went because there was land and there was, jobs and they could go. Or like Bass Reeves, they went as a slave and then were freed while they were there.
So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. The 6'2" guy, huge mustache, and master of disguise.
Well, he must have been, because that's pretty conspicuous.
Yeah.
So he must have been really good at it.
Yeah. And like you said, he's a striking looking guy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he was doing like the Groucho glasses.
Maybe.
They didn't have those back then. There was no Groucho. This was the difficult pre-Groucho period of American history.
Couldn't just use black glasses and a nose.
There's no context for that.
Right.
Nellie Jean, Bass's wife, died in 1896. And Reeves married Winnie Sumter in 1900. He survived several assassination attempts in his career. He was never wounded, from what I read. So I don't know. In my mind, picturing this, was this like the whole Western movie, like quick draw thing? Did he dive out of the way? I don't know the context for this, but never wounded in the line of duty. But people attempted to kill him numerous times.
Yeah. He's good at his job.
Yeah. He retired in 1907, and following his retirement from federal law enforcement, he joined the Muskogee Police Department. Yeah. So 3 decades federal law enforcement, and he was like, time to settle down and just be a cop to relax.
Right.
He served for about 3 years on the police department. Apparently, there were no crimes reported from what I heard on his beat while he was there. Whether that was just because, there could be a number of reasons. Maybe people were scared of Bass Reeves being the town, being the beat cop in the neighborhood, or maybe he just wasn't interested in arresting people, and maybe it was just he was building rapport and doing his job in a different way. Which is a possibility. I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. But I did hear another story that during this time, post-retirement, when he was out walking his beat, that he had an assistant who just carried a bag of guns.
What?
I don't know if that's true.
Well, what did they call that? A deterrent?
Yeah.
A crime deterrent.
And that might be why nothing was reported. Like, if you see somebody walking by and he's like, hand me my gun bag. Pick me out a big one from the gun bag.
Yeah.
I don't know that Bass Reeves talked like that. That's just my Western man voice.
Yeah, I guess that he didn't. Probably had a little Southern accent.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I hope that he said, say your prayers, varmint, at some point in his career.
Oh, we all hope that. We all do. We want that Western mythology to live on.
So he died in 1910. So he worked up until he died. He started with the police department in 1907, died at the age of 71 in 1910 of Bright's disease, which I think is like 139 in like gunfighter years. The fact that he lived to be 71.
Right. And all that time was in law enforcement.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And he was survived by his wife and 11 children.
One wife, 11 children?
He had 2 wives.
Oh, okay.
I don't know who was born when.
Wow.
I didn't dig into that genealogy there. Paul L. Brady, the first black administrative law judge in the U.S., is a great nephew of Bass Reeves.
Oh, that's cool.
Brady is 98 years old as of this recording. Former football player Willard Reeves and his sons, hockey player Ryan Reeves and Canadian football player Jordan Reeves, claim to be descendants of Bass Reeves, but it sounds like there's no verification of this.
Family
the spelling's
lore.
different, but the family lore is that somebody changed the spelling at some point. But yeah, just a very interesting guy. Who was a legend now, was a living legend when he was working, and just occupied a really complicated, interesting time and place in American history.
Yeah, that's cool.
So
cool story.
That's Bass Reeves, according to
All right.
me and National Park Service and some other sources I found. Yeah.
Right.
And a little bit of hearsay.
Right. That's a mythology. Western mythology.
Who's next?
Who's next? Sophia, you want to go next? You want me to?
Oh, sure. I can go.
Okay.
So initially I was going to talk about Celia Cruz and how wonderful and amazing she is, but I thought it more, I don't know, not interesting, but I went down a different path. And I wanted to talk about Dorothy Porter Wesley. She was the first Black graduate from Columbia University's library school in 1932, and she was a librarian at Howard University. So I wanted to talk about her and how amazing she was. So she was born on May 25th, 1905 in Warrenton, Virginia, the first of 4 children to her dad, Dr. Hayes Burnett, and then her mom, Bertha Burnett. Her dad was a doctor and her mom was a tennis player. She went to school in New Jersey, and then after she graduated from high school, she went to school in Washington, D.C. And then in 1926, she transferred to Howard University. And she started working as a student assistant in the Founders Library. And then from there, she graduated from Howard in 1928 with a Bachelor of Arts. And then she was very determined to become a librarian. So after working at the Howard University Library as a cataloger, she enrolled in the Columbia University School of Library Science. And in 1931, she received a Bachelor of Library Science. She then received a scholarship to attend graduate school at Columbia, and she was awarded a Master of Library Science in 1932, becoming the first African-American woman to do so. So,
very cool.
Yes. So she started working at the Howard Library as a librarian, bibliographer, scholar, historian, and archivist. And she worked there for 43 years.
That's a lot of roles to fill.
Wow.
Right? Amazing. And she was a curator of the Moorland-Spingarn, I'm hoping I say that correct. I looked this up. Spingarn collection at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And so under her guidance, a small special collection grew into a world-renowned research library. Wow. So today, that research center is considered to be one of the world's most comprehensive repositories of information on the history and culture of people of African descent.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. So for her, that was I think one of her professional goals was to create this very comprehensive collection of African American history. So one of her quotes is that the only rewarding thing for me is to bring to light information that no one knows. What's the point of rehashing the same old thing? Which I thought was very poignant.
Yeah.
And she challenged the racial biases within the Dewey Decimal Classification System, and she sought to change how works by Black writers are cataloged. So due to her efforts, these works appear across all subject areas instead of being marginalized to Dewey's narrow, inherently racist classifications. So...
And to our listeners who may not be aware of all of this, if you read a little bit about Melville Dewey and his life and career, you'll see that there was a lot of work to be done immediately in addressing his classification system in terms of the biases that were baked into it when he put that together.
And we're still addressing those.
Yeah.
I mean, we're changing the system the best we can from the place that we can to make it equitable all the way across the board. So, very cool.
Yeah. So she was amazing. And that's it. That's what I got.
That's what
Very
you got.
Cool.
Very good.
Yeah. And I know I mentioned this on the podcast before, but just when somebody knows what they want to do, like knows what they want to be when they grow up, right?
Right.
Early enough that like that work, like what she accomplished was the culmination of a true like life's work of doing that. And then like, I don't know, I've met some of those people who I'm like, wow, I wish I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. When I was like going for a bachelor's, I can make it make sense in retrospect, but that's amazing that she built that collection that still is
right. And long after she is gone, it's still there, and someone else took up the dream and continues to grow that collection.
Yep.
That's very cool. Yeah, I don't, it's hard to think about that. I'm not that type of person, I don't think. I think, I don't know about leaving a legacy or whatever we talk about. Oh, I want to leave this or I want to leave this behind me, but I don't know. That's a hard thing because I don't do a lot that seems like legacy worthy. I mean, I like my legacy. I guess I've talked about this with, like, at my funeral, all I want people to say is, oh, she was nice. She was such a nice person. I'll take it.
Maybe I'll leave an interesting stain on something.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you, Sophia. That's really interesting. It sounds like
awesome.
There's so many people that I just love their stories, and we've talked about them, and especially so many women that fought not only against not only against the racism of the time, but against the sexism of the time.
There's an intersection there.
She would have had to deal with the intersection of both.
Right.
Right.
And a lot of that, and I think we'll pull for our display after the thing we got going on here. The show, both the movie and the book, Hidden Figures, it was another one I love the book and I love the movie about women who were in the astronaut at NASA and at that cusp of learning all those things, and these women really contributed to that, and were not recognized for it until many years later. But I chose something different. So I went down a couple rabbit holes because I tend to do that when I'm looking up stuff. But I chose I love jazz music and I love dance and tap dancing, and I like watching musicals and all of that. So a while ago, I was Googling and I came across this duo of dancers, and they are the Nicholas brothers, and they are two. The Nicholas brothers were born in 1914 and 1921, so they excelled at dance, and they had a whole variety of dance techniques. And they were best known for their unique interpretation of highly acrobatic technique called flash dancing. And I don't know if it's related to like the Flashdance movie. Now that I think about it, maybe it is. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, that's the only other context in which I've heard.
But when you hear about what it is, it kind of fits the movie Flashdance. I don't know. Anyway,
were they dancing like they never danced before?
Yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway, they were considered by many, many people the greatest tap dancers of their day, and many people consider them the greatest tap dancers of all time. They're the performance that I want Harrison to link in the show notes is for a routine that they did to jump and jive in the 1943 movie Stormy Weather. It's amazing. It's amazing. And it's amazing not because of just the tap dancing, which is incredible, but because of the acrobatics that went along with it, the use of the whole stage space, including stairs and slides, and the orchestra's piano and the band stands, and it's just really incredible. It's been praised as one of the greatest dance routines ever captured on film. There could be an argument made. Some of Fred Astaire's stuff is pretty incredible when he rotates the room, but that's, if you're a dance person, you kind of go, oh yeah, I don't know, I can't top that. Or the Good Morning routine from Singing in the Rain. That's another one. Anyway, so they grew up in vaudeville. So they grew up around the vaudeville acts. Their parents were both musicians. They became stars of the jazz circuit during the Harlem Renaissance. We're talking in the 1920s up through Prohibition up into the Depression. So there's two of them, Fayard and Harold. Fayard was born in 1914. Harold was born in 1921. They were very small men. They were not large like Bass Reeves. They were very kind of diminutive, but they had incredible artistry. And because of that not so large gangly size, they were able to be amazing dancers.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of huge dancers.
No. I mean, Fred Astaire's tall and skinny. Gene Kelly's kind of mid-sized. But yeah, these guys are, if you watch the show, Stormy Weather, if you watch that, you'll see that they're not large guys. So they grew up in Philadelphia. They are the sons of college-educated musicians who played in their own band at the Standard Theater in Philadelphia. And at the age of 3, Fayard would always sit in the front row while his parents worked, and by the time he was 10, he had seen most of the great African-American vaudeville acts, particularly the dancers, including such notables of the time as Alice Whitman, Willie Bryant, and Bill Robinson. And you might not know who Bill Robinson is, but it's Bojangles.
Yeah, I knew that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the brothers were fascinated by the combination of tap dancing and acrobatics. And Fayard often imitated their acrobatics and clowning for the kids in his neighborhood. So if you're not familiar with vaudeville, it's a lot of comedy and dance routines, and usually it's not serious stuff, maybe one or two. Sorry.
You want some more blood orange iced tea?
No, thank you. No, thank you. Neither Fayard or Harold had any formal dance training. So they never went to a dance class in their life. Fayard taught himself how to dance, sing, and perform by watching and imitating the professional entertainers on stage. He then taught his younger siblings, first performing with his sister Dorothy as the Nicholas Kids, and later joined by Harold. Harold idolized his older brother and learned by copying his moves and distinct style. Dorothy later opted out of the act, and the Nicholas Kids became known as the Nicholas Brothers. So word spread around Philadelphia about their talent, and they were hired for a radio program, which kind of makes me laugh.
Radio dance show.
Oh, we're gonna dance on a radio show. Okay.
That brings me to this. I want you to watch this. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah. Wow, amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
Amazing, whatever that was.
Continue.
It was a rhythm. Anyway, so they were on the Horn and Hard Art Kitty Hour, and then they were hired by other local theaters, such as the Standard and the Pearl. And when they were performing at the Pearl, the manager of the Lafayette, a New York vaudeville showcase, saw them and immediately wanted them to perform in his theater. So they moved to Philadelphia in 1926 and gave their first performance at the Standard a few years later in 1932. So they would have been not very old, 18 and 11. They became the featured act at Harlem's Cotton Club. And we're going to go into the Cotton Club a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about with the Cotton Club. When Harold was 11 and Fayard was 18, they astonished their mainly white audiences dancing to the jazz tempos of Bugle Call Rag. And they were the only entertainers in the African-American cast allowed to mingle with white patrons. I don't know why. Maybe because they were kids? I don't know. They performed at the Cotton Club, for 2 years, working with the orchestras of Lucky Millinder, Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington, and Jimmy Lunsford. During this time, they made their uncredited movie debut in 1932 short called Pie Pie Blackbird, featuring Eubie Blake and his orchestra. The brothers attributed their success to their unique style of dancing, a hybrid of tap dance, ballet, and acrobatics, sometimes called acrobatic dancing or flash dancing, which was greatly in demand during this time. So if you think about the film Flashdance, she does a lot of that. She does a lot of acrobatic work. She also works in a strip club, right? but she does a lot of acrobatics, and it's not strictly ballet. It's not strictly like gymnastics or acrobatics. It's a hybrid, and it's kind of cool to watch. Samuel Goldwyn, who you would know from the Goldwyn movies and all of that, saw them.
He was a lion, right?
Yes. Yes, Harrison. He is a lion.
The lion who makes all those movies.
Yeah, that guy. Saw them at the Cotton Club and invited them to California to be part of Kid Millions in 1934, their first performances in a Hollywood movie. The brothers made their Broadway debut in the Ziegfeld Follies of 1936 and also appeared in Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart's musical Babes in Arms in 1937. They impressed their choreographer, George Balanchine, who is a very famous choreographer, who invited them to appear in Babes in Arms. With Balanchine's training, they learned many new stunts, and their talent led many people to presume that they were ballet trained. And they are extremely graceful and flexible. You'll see that if you watch the YouTube video.
I'm always impressed by people who can learn a physical skill by just watching someone do it, especially something that involves your whole body, because, man, I've tried to do that sometimes. And then if I see a video of myself trying to do it, I'm like, that's not what I thought my body was doing at all, man. Right. I thought I looked really cool doing that.
By 1940, they had moved to Hollywood, and for several decades it divided their time between movies, nightclubs, concerts, Broadway, television, and extensive tours in Latin America, Africa, and Europe. They toured England with the production of Blackbirds. They gave a Royal Command performance at the London Palladium for King George VI in 1948. In 1991, the Nicholas brothers received Kennedy Center honors in recognition of their 6 decades of achievements. A year later, a documentary film, We Sing and We Dance, celebrated their careers and included tributes from Mikhail Baryshnikov, Gregory Hines, M.C. Hammer, and Clark Peters. In 1994, members of the cast of Hot Shoe Shuffle also paid them a tribute. They're very well-respected entertainers and dancers.
So
and that's cool.
That was 1991. So it was Hammer Time.
It was Hammer Time.
Hammer Time ended shortly after.
Yes, but at that time, MCU was a big deal.
Stop. Hammer Time.
Thank you. So the Nicholas brothers also taught master classes in tap dance as teachers in residence at Harvard University and Radcliffe. They were visiting artists. Among their known students, and you should recognize some of these names: Debbie Allen, Janet Jackson, and Michael Jackson.
Wow. They taught Michael Jackson.
Something. They taught him something.
Well, they taught him to dance.
Yes.
I'll be very clear about
right.
He learned to dance.
He learned to dance
brothers.
From them.
Wow.
And looking at that, Debbie Allen is a good dancer. Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson have their own unique style, and there's a lot of that influence in there. A lot of tap dancers, some of these names I don't recognize, but they taught a lot of really master tap dancers to be dancers. So it's very cool. Their styles and moves. So if you've never seen the Nicholas brothers, a lot of tap dancers don't use their upper body a whole lot. You're just watching their feet,
Mm-hmm.
But the brothers were particularly known for their expressive use of their hands and arms when dancing, particularly tap. One of their signature moves was a leapfrog down a long, broad flight of stairs, completing each step with a split. It is probably one of the most painful things you can watch because these guys are like jumping over each other, probably for big steps down and landing in a split.
It's jarring
to
watch.
It is jarring to watch. And they're doing it with a smile. Its best remembered performance is in the finale of the movie Stormy Weather in 1943. And in that routine, the Nicholas brothers leap exuberantly across the orchestra's music stands, which is really fun to watch, especially if you watch the guys playing the music behind those music stands. So there's this one poor saxophone player who's trying to dodge him. It's pretty funny. I just watched that a few minutes ago, and I was just laughing because that's how I'd be, back and forth. Don't hit me. Don't kick me,
I messed up my hip for the day picking up a dog toy off my floor.
I know. I reached into my back seat this morning and wrenched my shoulder. It's like, oh my gosh. Anyway.
I did not learn from the Nicholas brothers.
Oh dear. Anyway, let's see, where was I? They danced on the top of a grand piano in a call and response act with the pianist, which is kind of cool, to the tune of Jump and Jive. Fred Astaire once told the brothers that this dance number was the greatest number he had ever seen on film. Numerous articles have been written about this whole dance being filmed in one take and unrehearsed.
Wow.
Okay, now that's...
Wow.
I know. And as unbelievable as that sounds, and there are multiple cuts in the scene, so there were 2 or more cameras, okay? But the Nicholas brothers confirmed it in an interview shortly before their recognition at the 14th Annual Kennedy Center Honors. The choreographer, Nick Castle, said, "Just do it. Don't rehearse it. Just do it." And so it was done, unrehearsed and in one take, which relieved Harold Nicholas because he did not want to do the rigorous routine over and over all night.
We'll do it live.
So that's incredibly impressive. Unrehearsed. And it shows how familiar they were with each other. Mm-hmm. They had done the routine, but they didn't need to rehearse it. They'd done it so many times together. In another signature move, they would rise from a split without using their hands. And you'll see this in this routine. That means they go down and they come up with no push off, no nothing. It's really impressive. Gregory Hines declared that if their biography were ever filmed, their dance numbers would have to be computer generated because no one now could emulate them.
Wow, yeah.
Ballet legend Mikhail Baryshnikov once called them the most amazing dancers he had ever seen in his life. So I'm really impressed with these guys, and I think they have amazing contributions to the world of dance and entertainment. And then I read about their personal lives. I was it's like really hard when somebody you like admire and they're like, yeah, man, they're so resilient and they did these great things and they're highly trained and so incredible. And then you read a story like this. So Fayard, and this is I'm trying to find the one. Maybe it's down here later. The story is Fayard was married 4 times. He married Geraldine Pate. He married a Mexican dancer, Victoria Barron. And he married Barbara January in 1967. And then he converted to the Baha'i faith, and they remained together till her death. And then he married Catherine Hopkins in 2000. He died in 2006 of pneumonia, contracted after a stroke. His memorial service, presided over by Mary Jean Valente, was standing room only and featured personal tributes, music, dance, and one last standing ovation. So 2 of Fayard's granddaughters dance as the Nicholas sisters, and they've won awards for their performance. Fayard seems like a very nice person. Okay, but then there was Harold. Harold was married. I'm sorry. I was really disappointed.
And there's Harold.
And then there's Harold. Harold was married 3 times. From 1942 to 1951, he was married to singer and actress Dorothy Dandridge, and she is known for the movie Porgy and Bess with Sidney Poitier. Mm-hmm. She was an amazing actress. She's very young. They had 1 child, Harolyn Nicholas, who was born with a severe intellectual disability. Now, here's the story that I didn't like. He married Dorothy Dandridge in 1942, but by 1948, the marriage was effectively over because of his philandering. And he cheated on her, and then when she was pregnant in 1943, I think, he left her at her sister's house and went to play golf and then didn't come and get her. So she's in labor, pregnant, going to the hospital without him. And the baby had complications and issues because she didn't get there in the time that she needed to.
So
because
it's birth-related.
It's a birth-related defect, and they used, back in 1942, they used forceps, and it was damaging, brain damage. And so Dorothy Dandridge has a very sad life, and I did not realize that. And I, of course, a rabbit hole right down Dorothy Dandridge. She was very talented, immensely talented, but she struggled to choose good men. Mm-hmm. And she was cheated out of a lot of money, career money, because the people who managed her money for her. And then in 1942, I can't remember what year she died, but her death is suspicious because they think it might have been an overdose. Intentional or non-intentional. Mm-hmm. She was not in a good state, because when she lost that money, instead of being able to pay for her daughter to be in a private institution, they had to put her in a state institution, and that was really hard for her. So it's really kind of sad, and I just felt really bad. But back to Harold. Harold moved to Paris, and he had a second wife from Elaine Patron. He lived for 20 years with his third wife in the Upper West Side of New York City, a former Miss Sweden, Rigmor Alfredson Newman. He died in July 3rd, 2000 of a heart attack following minor surgery. So, it was a bummer to hear that they just weren't, that history tells us that people who do great things doesn't mean they're great people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. They're great, their accomplishments are great, and we like that, and we appreciate those accomplishments, but it doesn't matter who they are. You read about this person who accomplished such a great thing, and then they turn out to be just an awful person, or just a really flawed person. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Anyway, but this also leads me just a little bit of time. I wanted to talk about the Cotton Club. And this other thing too, going back to Black History Month and kind of what was happening at the time. According to the Los Angeles Times articles on the brothers, they did some film stuff, right? They were in a lot of films, but because of racial prejudice, they appeared as guest artists, isolated from the plot in many of their films, so that this strategy allowed their scenes to be easily deleted for screening in the Jim Crow era of the South. And so they would send the film to the South, and then they just delete the scenes. They just cut that scene to perform, you know.
That's terrible.
It is terrible. It was a terrible time. It's terrible. But the Cotton Club, you hear a lot about it. There's movies about it, and I didn't really know a lot about the Cotton Club in New York. But basically what it was, it was a 20th century nightclub. And it was owned by white people, for white people. It was it ran on 142nd Avenue, and from 1923 to 1936, and it operated during the era of Prohibition and Jim Crow era and racial segregation. So, Black people initially could not patronize the Cotton Club, but the venue featured many of the most popular Black entertainers of the era, including, and I'll name a few of them, but not all of them, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Louis Armstrong, Fats Waller, Bessie Smith, Ada Ward, the Dandridge Sisters, the Mills Brothers, Billie Holiday, Lena Horne, Catherine Durham, the Nicholas Brothers, which is what led me down this whole, I mean, just so many Black entertainers. There's one here that his name I've never heard of him, but it's Earl Snake Hips Tucker. So you gotta wonder what Snake Hips means. Snake Hips Tucker.
I see Al Jolson is also on that list.
Oh, yeah.
Which leads us to...
Oh, a whole new thing.
I'll let you get around to that.
Oh, I'm not going there.
Okay.
In its prime, the Cotton Club served as a hip meeting spot with regular celebrity nights on Sundays. So they would invite celebrities to come in on Sunday nights, including Jimmy Durante, George Gershwin, Sophie Tucker, Paul Robeson, Al Jolson, Mae West, Richard Rogers, Irving Berlin, Eddie Cantor, Fanny Bryce, Langston Hughes, Judy Garland, Moss Hart, and Jimmy Walker. So it started. The Cotton Club started by a gangster who wanted a way to market his beer. And he bought this club.
Like you do.
I mean, you know, he had just gotten out of prison, and he came and he partnered with the guy, and they started the Cotton Club, and then they hired Black entertainers, but it was for white people, and it was based on a plantation theme, for lack of a better word, and it was really ugly. Everything was, you know, it's just so sad because you think about what made the Cotton Club successful was the entertainment, and yet the entertainment was segregated backstage, only allowed on stage, not allowed to participate in anything, and actually paid quite well, and which is probably why they continue to work there.
Not just segregated, but segregation-themed entertainment.
Right. So it was decorated like a jungle. It had a jungle theme.
Oh.
And the Cotton Club, I mean, it's cotton, right?
Yeah.
It's all just this really, really yucky, gross part of history that happened during this era, this Jim Crow era. And it's equal parts maddening and really infuriating and really sad, you know, because these musicians, dancers, singers are incredibly talented people. So it was then after it was shut down during the Harlem race riots. So Harlem, the Harlem Renaissance it has mixed feelings about the Cotton Club, because the Harlem Renaissance was really about writers and creators getting together, and this renaissance of people coming out of there that had great writers. One of those, Langston Hughes. I think we have a couple books about the Harlem Renaissance in our library. And Langston Hughes, if you don't know, is a poet, and he had a really kind of a unique critique. I thought it was really good. So I'm just going to read what I found about his critique. So Oni Madden is the owner of the Cotton Club. His goal for the Cotton Club was to provide an authentic Black entertainment to wealthy whites-only audience. Langston Hughes, a key figure in the Harlem Renaissance, attended the Cotton Club as a rare Black customer. Following his visit, Hughes criticized the club's segregated atmosphere and commented that it was a Jim Crow club for gangsters and moneyed whites. In addition to the jungle music and the plantation-themed interior, Hughes believed that Madden's idea of authentic Black entertainment was similar to the entertainment provided as a zoo, that white strangers were given the best ringside tables to sit and stare at the Negro customers, like amusing animals in a zoo, unquote. Hughes also believed that the Cotton Club negatively affected the Harlem community. The club brought an influx of whites toward Harlem after sundown, flooding the little cabarets and bars where formerly only colored people laughed and sang, unquote. Hughes also mentioned how many of the neighboring cabarets, especially Black cabarets, were forced to close due to the competition from the Cotton Club. These smaller clubs did not have large floors or music by famous entertainers such as Ellington or others that played there, Count Basie, and many, many more. So it's a really icky time. Mm-hmm. It just makes me sad, because there's so much incredible talent in that, and that it was exploited. It's kind of like, so they paid them very well because he made a ton of money, and he wanted them to stay. And so at one point he was playing Bojangles, Bill Robinson, $3,500 a week to entertain at the Cotton Club.
In dollars of that time.
Yeah. Wow. So he was paying him immense amount of money, and he was paying all of them. So they're making immense amounts of money, and yet they're still being treated like second-class citizens. They're still being, even though it was against the law, it's just like this craziness that is very frustrating part of our history and our past. And yet, I look at the vast amount of entertainment that we have now and what's come out of that, and how great, there are so many great performers that are inspired by these. And I think that that's important to remember, that this, we're talking about legacies earlier, even this, the music that came out of that. I mean, it's incredible music, and the jazz and all of that just, that's truly an American experience that came out of the Cotton Club and Harlem and all of those kinds of things. So, I don't know. I have no more to comment on.
Yeah,
my commentary's over.
It makes me, what my mind goes to for a more recent kind of thing is Cat Williams has a bit about what he learned from Flavor Flav. I'm not going to paraphrase. I can't do it justice, but just the trade-off of what leverage you have and what you get out of it if you're doing a performance that is maybe degrading, but you're heavily compensated for.
Yeah. And you think about like Bojangles, who, these are people whose opportunities to perform were limited. And so if you wanted to perform and you wanted to be an entertainer, your opportunities were pretty limited. And so when you're given the opportunity to make that kind of money, what's the trade-off? I perform and I get to do my music. I get to do what I love. And maybe, it's a little degrading, or it's a little uneven or unfair, or,
and if you don't make that compromise, then we would not maybe be talking about some folks now.
Yeah, until it really changed and it was different. I mean, I think that it was different in Europe, which is why many of these performers ended up in European tours, because it was very different. They didn't have the same kind of Jim Crow laws that they did in the States. And so it's a very interesting thing. You know, at what point, because if you're an entertainer and you're that caliber, you love what you do. That's the only people who, it's like, I had a friend who, she's an amazing singer, and somebody said, you know, you really should try to, you know, why don't you push your career? Why don't you go record? Why don't you, you know, and she said, because I don't love it enough. I'm not compelled to go and do it. So if you are a musician, and you could say that about any musician, and you love to do it, you will find every opportunity that you can. You'll tour those bars and those dives. You'll do the hard work. You'll give up a lot for it. And so for these people that were held back by the color of their skin, it's like, how do I do what I love and excel at it and manage that? How do I manage that in a world that doesn't want to see that or doesn't want to treat me as equal? So yeah, it was compromise, and it wasn't good compromise, you know, but it was the way that they had to work in order to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. I think we still see some of that, you know, now. Mm-hmm. You know,
yes.
You kind of have to figure out what's important to me and how do I want to do that? How do I want to manage this promotion or manage this success? What am I going to give up? And there are people who will not give that up. I think about, there's an actor who won't do romance scenes on screen. He feels he's married, and he does not feel comfortable kissing other women on screen or any place, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's probably. And so he talks about it I was listening to him on a podcast, and he was talking about it, and he said, yeah, I've had to give up jobs because I wouldn't do it. But it's that important to me. So that's where the compromise is. And if you have, but I mean, you have to have some degree of leverage to not make the compromise. And yeah.
When you get stereotyped, mm-hmm. I mean, I know that there are a lot of actors who spend at least part of their careers getting handed roles based on race or mm-hmm. appearance or accent or whatever it is, that sometimes they get typecast forever. Sometimes they get to a point in their career where then they can start getting leverage. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, I think it's important to think about those things in terms of who's making those compromises and why do they have to. So anyway, it's something to think about, but it doesn't take away at all from the talent that existed in those days at the Cotton Club. It's a sad place. It's a sad moment in history, but there was an amazing amount of talent that came out of that, and hard-working musicians that put in the time and the effort, and were not rewarded as they should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, we left everybody with something to talk about.
Yes.
And to think about during Black History Month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Do we have any final thoughts?
I do. Did you drink all of that tea?
I did, because I lost the cap. I can't put it in the fridge. So I had to drink the whole thing.
Okay. This happens a lot with Harrison. He ends up drinking the worst stuff because he just doesn't think about it. He just drinks it.
I was thirsty.
Oh, well. All right. Well, Sophia, I'm glad we could get you on the phone.
Yes, I'm glad too.
You're a little quieter than you usually are in the booth, though.
Sorry, I was just listening.
She doesn't have access also
Oh, that's true, to the board.
the board.
That's
from
right.
where
So
she is.
which one do you want to hear before we sign off?
Oh, the screaming goat.
Okay, let's get the goat. Where's the goat? Where's the goat?
And that's all, folks.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
See ya.
The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Cindy Bilek, Sophia Kahn, and Harrison Baker. Original music by Harrison Baker. Editing by Harrison Baker and Sophia Kahn. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organization they represent. Good night.